Most people have fears. Fear of the dark, fear of tight spaces, fear of death, fear of spiders, and fear of heights. These fears are all credible. But a fear of failing APUSH is not. Students are taken through the different time periods as if they are living in them.
Beginning with colonial America, the colonists became bitter as Britain ended the period of salutary neglect, which led to the no taxation without representation campaign of the American colonists. This ultimately fueled the American Revolution war efforts.
Next, students are transported to the antebellum period. During this period, the debate over slavery grew popular and women began taking their role as social reformers. Ideas like popular sovereignty developed during this period.
These tensions ultimately led to the Civil War. This war is characterized by the sectional fight over the extension of slavery. After Lincoln's election, Southern states began secession, which led to the first shots of the Civil War.
After the Civil War and Reconstruction, an era of industry, known as the Gilded Age, developed. New business practices like horizontal and vertical integration were created by new business leaders like Andrew Carnegie and John D. Rockefeller. They were later called captains of industry.
As the U.S. built itself up, tension in Europe grew. This ultimately led to World War I. The U.S. joined Britain on the winning side, making Germany pay reparations in the Treaty of Versailles. This fueled leaders like Hitler to rise.
Due to the successes in World War I, the U.S. became rich, which created what is known as the Roaring Twenties. Prosperity was everywhere and people began spending more and more. Consumerism became important and flappers developed as a sign of prosperity.
However, all good things must come to an end. The stock market crashed and people lost jobs everywhere. People were forced to live in shanty towns, nicknamed Hoovervilles, and were forced to wait in line for a meal. This was known as the Great Depression.
Meanwhile, Germany rebuilt itself and was ready to wage war. Hitler started the Holocaust, where Jews were murdered in concentration camps to create the perfect race. Meanwhile, Japan bombed the U.S. at Pearl Harbor. This was World War II.
After the U.S. victory in World War II, tension between the U.S. and the USSR developed. This became known as the Cold War. Americans were experiencing the Red Scare, or the fear of communists, and children were taught to hide under their desks in case of nuclear warfare.
As these tensions grew, a new generation arose, known as the hippies. In the 60s and 70s, they advocated for peace, and drug use increased.
By the end of the class, students are taken to modern day, learning about current presidents like Bill Clinton and George Bush, and learning about new technologies. As you can see, there is nothing to be afraid of in APUSH, because after all,
the only thing we have to fear is fear itself.